Now, I'd also like to introduce a past shaliach, an incredibly dedicated speaker, Ron Bar-Yoshafat. Ron spent a dreary, rainy, cold 5 months with us during a winter some years ago. Now, think about that. He could be playing on a Tel Aviv beach, and he's hanging out here in Seattle in winter. He was a workhorse. If anyone invited him to take him somewhere to show him some part of Seattle or the Northwest, his first question was, will there be anyone I can speak to there? In 5 months, he spoke to over 42,000 students. And many of these engagements were incredibly tough. He spoke at campuses where he was shouted down and accused of being a murderer, not only by anti-Israel students, but by faculty. Ron returned to Israel, wrote a book about his 5 months here, and talking to him earlier, I found out that he's written a subsequent book and he's working on his third. I've asked Ron to share some thoughts with us today. Thank you.
27. 27 is the number of friends I've lost to terror and war. When I came here 5 years ago, the number was 22. Today I came to talk to you as a former Stand With Us Shaliach, an emissary of Israel, brought by Stand With Us to try and improve Israel's image in the eyes of the public. I was asked once, why am I willing to put my life on hold and come to America to advocate for Israel? I replied that I serve between 1 to 2 months every year in the Israeli Army Reserves, and this is also a type of reserves, only in the war of images, words, and ideas. To better understand the connection between Israel advocacy and the Israeli army, you need to understand how media covers Israel. There are 3 levels of media reports. The first is no media coverage. There are on average more than 100 terror attacks in Israel per month. You don't know that, and you don't hear about it because there are no casualties. There are no casualties thanks to strong security, the resilience of the citizens, and countless miracles. The second is media coverage in Israel and among pro-Israel groups. This happens when there are Israeli casualties. When the casualties are Jews, there is less coverage than when they are non-Jews. The third is full media coverage. This happens when Israeli police or military take down a terrorist who tried to murder Israelis. In this case, the headlines are usually about how an Israeli police officer killed a Palestinian. If the media is feeling generous, they will add in quotation marks, suspected of terrorist activities. There is a connection between anti-Israel activity, terror in Israel, and Jewish communities worldwide, mainly North American Jewry. The notion that Israel is the evil of this century, which is expressed viciously on many college campuses and now increasingly in churches and even in some high school classes, makes it easier for terrorists to act and harder for Israel to retaliate. That negative perception of Israel has a direct impact not only on Israel, but also on world Jewry. This anti-Israel PR campaign tries to gain support by presenting itself as a non-violent movement. It calls itself the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement, or the BDS movement, when in fact it should be called the movement to destroy Israel. That is, after all, the agenda that their leaders openly express. Their intention is to turn Israel into a pariah and force world leaders to drop their support for Israel until eventually it is replaced by yet another Arab state. For the anti-Semite, it makes no difference if the Jew is religious, secular, socialist, or capitalist, with a strong Jewish identity or trying to fully assimilate. For the anti-Semite, a Jew is a Jew. It is the same for the anti-Israeli. It makes no difference if the Israeli is against settlements or believes Jews should be able to live in Judea, if they are left-wing or right-wing, if they believe it is their birthright to live in Israel because it is their promised land, or if they are atheists from the LGBTQ community. Unfortunately, as we just seen a few minutes ago, some of the fastest growing Jewish organizations in the United States today are anti-Israel organizations. Their Jewish identity is not about the Jewish peoplehood, but about their view of repairing the world. Or, as one Jewish student once asked me, how do you say tikkun olam in Hebrew? We cannot ignore the fact that there are real issues that world Jewry and the state of Israel have to work together. The particularistic nationalistic identity of the Israeli does not always intertwine with the universalistic, pluralistic identity of much of American Jewry with all its different Jewish expressions. But this debate is a debate between brothers, and a thriving Israel is connected to a thriving world Jewry. I am not discouraged for 3 reasons. First of all, I would always prefer being hated and protested against, but to be strong enough to protect my family, friends, and fellow citizens, Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, than being liked with a hashtag saying prayer for Israel while facing the hell of terrorism, unable to defend myself. Second, the truth eventually comes out. Today, unfortunately, there is a real conflict between those who want to silence the truth because it might hurt someone's feelings, and those who feel they have a right to offend people in a callous manner. This is a battle between political correctness and discrimination and bigotry. Somehow in this battle, the anti-Israel has players on both sides. But to me, optimistic, we are a generation that is searching for justice. And when one looks for justice, eventually, even if the path is a long one will find it. Lastly, when I see all of you who chose to come and spend the time, effort, and resources to show your support for Israel, I have no doubt that we will prevail. It won't be easy, but I know that in time we'll grow in numbers, we will grow in actions, we will grow in power, and we will grow in the overall discourse regarding Israel. I hope my list of 27 friends who are gone will never grow again. Am Yisrael Chai, long live the people of Israel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.